Earthquake in Israel, people scream in fear, entire buildings flattened, quake hits Israelis. This year has been one of the toughest for Israel. The country keeps facing unexpected natural disasters. Recently, a pretty strong earthquake hit Israel, causing panic among many people, especially in Tel Aviv. A lot of people are starting to wonder if all these disasters are some kind of warning about what's happening in Gaza. Israel has been through a series of different disasters lately: wildfires, sandstorms, floods, and now earthquakes.
The quake struck on a Tuesday night when most people were about to go to bed. Suddenly, their beds started shaking. Furniture rattled, and everyone instantly knew it was an earthquake. They quickly grabbed their phones to find out what was going on. Turns out, the quake had a magnitude of 6.3 on the Richter scale. Its epicenter was in the Mediterranean Sea, not far from the coast of Greece, about 65 kilometers south of Athens, and 16 kilometers from the town of Nuweiba in the Sinai Peninsula. The tremors were felt in many parts of Israel: Tel Aviv, Haifa, Jerusalem, Ramallah, and more than 16 other areas. Many residents said the shaking was really intense, especially for people living in apartment buildings or high-rises. Some even called it a nightmare. Luckily, there were no reported deaths. Even though the aftershocks are still worrying people, what's interesting is that the earthquake happened just shortly after the Israeli military carried out an airstrike in the Khan Yunis area of Gaza, which reportedly killed about 70 civilians. The fact that both the quake and the airstrike happened at night made people question if it was some kind of consequence for the military's actions.
Looking back at history, Israel has experienced major earthquakes with serious effects. One of the worst quakes happened sometime between 103 and 1035 AD, measuring about 7.0 on the Richter scale. It hit the Jordan Valley and caused massive destruction in the Levant region. A tsunami followed, which destroyed many buildings, including parts of Jerusalem's walls and several churches. The Al-Aqsa compound, or what's known as the Mihrab of David near the Jaffa Gate, was badly damaged. Around 70,000 people died, making it one of the deadliest natural disasters in the region's history. But these disasters haven't stopped.
6.3 hit again. Around 200 people died and hundreds of buildings were heavily damaged. It's clear that Israel is in an earthquake-prone zone and the risks shouldn't be taken lightly. In 1951, another powerful quake struck, this one at night, with a magnitude of 5.9. Its epicenter was in the eastern Mediterranean. The tremors were so strong they literally shook the Israeli capital and caused widespread panic. Then, in early 1984, another quake, this one 5.3 in magnitude, knocked out power in several areas, damaged dozens of homes in Haifa, and scared many residents enough that they fled their houses. The epicenter was in the Mediterranean Sea, about 40 kilometers west of the coastal city of Haifa. The quake's effects were felt as far as Beirut in northern Lebanon and Be'er Sheva in southern Israel, but northern Israel was hit the hardest due to its proximity to the epicenter. Earlier in 1979, another 5.1 magnitude quake started in the Dead Sea region and was felt from Tiberias in the north all the way to Be'er Sheva, Tel Aviv, and Jerusalem. Then, in 2018, the Israel Geophysical Institute recorded a 4.7 magnitude quake that happened around 5 a.m. Its epicenter was only 14 kilometers from Tiberias and just 2 kilometers deep. Northern regions like Haifa and the Galilee were the most affected. Despite it all, Israelis are still feeling anxious. To make matters worse, there were aftershocks following that quake too, even though they weren't as strong.
The earth is speaking. Earthquakes shake Israel after years of injustice.
Even though the recent earthquake was relatively mild, it was enough to terrify people, especially given the country's long history of similar disasters. Looking back, 17 years ago in 2007, Israel was hit by another earthquake, this one with a magnitude of 4.4 on the Richter scale. It happened in the Dead Sea region, and is considered one of the most significant quakes the country has seen in recent years. Another earthquake struck, again centered in the Dead Sea, this time with a magnitude of 4.2, and it wasn't just Israel that felt it. Tremors reached as far as Jordan.
Just a few months ago, another quake hit southern Israel, with a magnitude estimated between 5.1 and 5.5. The epicenter was in the Sinai Peninsula. Despite its strength, the quake was contained and caused no deaths.
At a time when the world is witnessing continued injustice in Palestine, it's as if nature itself is starting to respond. Not long after a series of attacks on innocent civilians in Gaza, residents across Israel felt strong tremors. It wasn't just a single quake, several aftershocks followed, adding to the sense of fear. But what truly shocked people wasn't just the shaking ground, it was the deeper meaning many saw in the event. People started to ask, was this a warning?
The quake didn't hit just anywhere. It struck a land that many see as being used to oppress others and deny them their rights. Some religious leaders and spiritual figures even said this wasn't a normal earthquake. They called it a cry from the earth, a reaction from the universe to the injustice carried out by Zionist Israel over decades. It's as if the ground itself refuses to be walked on by the oppressors anymore. This land, once a field of cruelty and colonization, is now restless, as if it wants to shake off the arrogant footsteps that have defiled it.
These tremors weren't just geological, they were symbolic, a sign that the earth has had enough. It no longer wants to support the feet of oppressors, the hands that shed innocent blood, or the voices that silence the truth.
Meanwhile, the Palestinian people continue to pray. Surrounded by rubble, they raise their hands to the sky asking for justice. And maybe, just maybe this time, it was God who answered first. Maybe the earth feels their pain more deeply than the world leaders who remain silent.